Well, first of all, congrats.
Thanks. Thanks.
For being.
For what?
Well, Mike, you want to go ahead?
Right. Please tell us, Mike.
Oh, yeah. Everybody voted for you, man. You were the media appreciation winner for the second time. You joined an exclusive crew of 2-time winners.
I've won twice?
You won twice.
When did I win the first time?
We have it in the file somewhere. 3 years ago, 4 years
ago.
No
way.
We know that you have that, framed on your...
You know?
It means
is there a plaque for this?
We've talked about that. Maybe
Crystal something goes along the way. You know?
We talked about putting an actual plaque up in the media.
Just like a little clear bowl. It doesn't have to be clear. Crystal.
You want a bowl?
Yeah, like a little bowl. Put my candy in that says like Cam Jordan.
Oh, okay.
Media award winner.
But look, it means more in a 5 and 11 season. What is this right now? 11. It means a lot more in this season. It's tough to talk to us in seasons like this, so we appreciate it.
Hey, I believe in consistency. You know,
you've shown it.
Even if everything around me is not consistent, hey, I'll be here.
Appreciate that.
That's what I tell my wife when she asks me to do the dishes. I haven't done dishes since we got married. Just don't see me doing the dishes today. Maybe one day, but I just want to be consistent. You know, keep consistent.
And you're still married?
Yeah, I sweep. I'm willing to sweep, even though the floor is normally already swept by the time I get home. It's crazy.
I'm gonna try that more later.
You gotta start it early. It's too late for you.
Cam, could you talk about the donation to the Tragedy Fund, why it was important to be there for this community?
Yeah, the GNOL, Greater New Orleans Fund, started a fund to give back to what they've labeled as the New Orleans, or the New Year's Eve New Orleans massacre, which just sounds tragic in every sense of the word. When you think about 15 lives being lost, 30-something people being injured, everybody feels aggrieved, and yet you want to help and you don't know how, where. I mean, I immediately, called my PR, Rebecca Otto, called, Mrs. Benson, or text Miss Benson. She immediately texted back, got me in touch with a couple people, talked to Greg Benzel. Like, how can we help? Like, you just want to help your city. Being in New Orleans, I went to bed at 10:30, woke up to learning about it just like everybody else did, and it's something that touches you. You figure, one of the first bodies that was identified was an 18-year-old girl, I believe, from Mississippi, and I couldn't even imagine having 3 girls myself. Can't even imagine what it's like to lose a family member to natural causes, let alone this. What I'm going to call a terrorist attack. So for all the afflicted families, all the families affected, all the friends that will never have their friends back from Bourbon, what should have been a joyous time celebrating New Year's rolling in 2025 ended up being a nightmare. So we just wanted to help. So this was one way, instead of just saying the prayers out or shouting, like, how do we get from this? You got to find a directive. In my mind, give them directly back to these families is how we get it done.
Sorry to take such a joyous turn to asking about it.
From media appreciation to, which had to be addressed. I sort of wanted to talk about it yesterday, but at the same time, I was still formulating how I wanted to address it. And how could I help? It's one thing to acknowledge it on a social media platform. Of course, you bring awareness to what happened. You want to bring, some sort of directive, and I didn't have that answer yet. So I had to formulate opinion, formulate how, and go from there. This is my how right now.
Just as somebody who calls New Orleans home, has called New Orleans home forever, just like that. When something like this happens home, it feels different for you versus
absolutely
when this sort of stuff happens.
Absolutely. I mean, again, it's like you can't control a calamity like a hurricane, right? You assume like you can sort of be forewarned it's coming in, and then you go from there. Something like this, again, everybody who wasn't on Bourbon went to sleep and woke up and this news hit. Everybody on Bourbon who was having a joyous time, whether with their friends, loved ones, whatever it is, celebrating the New Year's. How do you can't see yourself preventing this when you not putting fault on hand, but when you have police officers on every block, when you have what should be a safe night is not safe. It makes you nervous, makes you scared from big events, makes you want to stay your ass at home. There's a reason why for the wife to tell you to stay your ass at home. to think about, 60 lives being affected in some way or another, 15 of them never to breathe air again. How many families affected? How many friends affected? There's no rhyme or reason, or like, oh, I saw this, how I could have prevented. There's none of that. So for you to wake up is exactly what it is. It's a calamity that became that is a tragedy. And somehow, some way, I'd like to take a moment to speak more than just football. I mean, when you talk about person to person, when you lose a life, it's something you can never get back. It's overly, like, the word is probably going to keep popping up. It's overly sad. It's overly tragic to think about how many people are going to be affected by this.
As scary as it is, like, is there an important part of like not being defined by it either, though? Like,
absolutely. I mean, first of all, it's New Orleans. New Orleans is probably the most resilient city you're going to get. From coming back from Katrina to Ida to the likes, the city knows how to bounce back. The city has, sometimes over this 14 years I've been here, has had some of the highest murder rates in America, and yet it's somehow bounced back and gotten from there. I mean, for as much as the South has a lot of good in it, for much as New Orleans does a lot of good for, it knows how to fight back. It knows how to come back, and somehow, some way, we'll come back from this as well.
Yeah, just in terms of the teams rolling that, I'm sure you appreciate it. But the game on Sunday I see that as an opportunity for just to give people something to enjoy.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, had it been a home game, I'd probably be right on there. But we fly in, and everybody can turn the TV on and tune in to this game against Tampa. But again, this is so much bigger than football right now. If we can be a moment of escape, I mean, the Sugar Bowl got pushed from last night till today. They're playing right now. So hopefully, people are able to go to that game. And honestly, if football is your breakaway from reality, please enjoy all of it.
On a lighter note, or like,
how do you go to a lighter note?
I don't know, but this is going to seem silly by comparison. But is there any part of you, like, obviously you want to win, but if you guys win, the Falcons win, then they make the playoffs. Is that, like, how do you kind of square that you might be helping the Falcons on Sunday?
Ain't nobody asked to help them. There's a couple things that you like to focus on, but at the same time, when you have a tragedy on New Year's Eve, it puts it in perspective. 5-11 season, it's tough to deal with, and yet I'm still alive. I'm still breathing. My family's still alive. They're still breathing. We got one game left, and you sort of, after that, you're going off to wherever guys go off to. You're not going to have the same teammates as you are next year, and that's full circle. You may not have the same coaches next year. There's clearly going to be a head coach search. There might be a new defensive end search. There might be, a new tight end search. Whatever that is, that this roster that we put together, and I've fully enjoyed this year with the teammates that I've had, and especially enjoy the talent when they were fully healthy. It's going to be one of these years that I'm going to sit back 10, 20 years from now and be like, man, that 2024 season, we started off 2-0 and had the world in front of us, and somehow, with injuries, our world collapsed quickly. This could have been a team that could have been, but we'll never know because coulda is just a shoulda.
Two seasons? Do you have recall of individual
2011 season, we lose to the Niners, and we just thought that was going to be Super Bowl year. 2019, you lose to, 2020, you lose to. It was a 3-year stretch, so I'm probably going to remember the entire playoff series. There's always going to be seasons you wish you would like one more play, or wish we would have done this instead. This season, I'll be like, man, I wish I would have played defensive end more. But we all have our gripes. At the end of the day, I just want the team to be successful.
Thank you.
Cool.